All right, people. So we will start with our slide, first slide, which says communication. So let us understand a bit more in deep with a proper analytical evidences as well in a place that what is communication all about, how exactly it happens, what it takes to happen, how effectively communication can go down the line, what all it takes. So let us move. Let us say communication. The communication, if you see, have you ever felt you just want getting your ideas across to a co-worker or friend or loved ones or so on? Have you ever found your mind wondering as someone spoke to me, but kya bol ke gaya? If your response to these two situations is yes, so then clearly what you are experiencing is there is a breakdown in communication. Now, how that breakdown happens, what it takes for such all, we'll talk about that in deep. Let us say, what is communication? Now, in simple word, if we say communication is a successful exchange of information from one person to another person, that's it, all about. Let us say when we were talking yesterday, I was addressing you all. I was giving you a message that I'll be doing one video or we'll be taking or talking about a topic called communication, and that was communication which happened. Now, so in that there was two people involved. One was the sender, that was me. One was the receiver, that were you all. I sent a message, you got a message, and when I given a thought of something that I want to do something like that, so I express that with my words. So the same word when I send across to you people, you understood it and you decoded that code in your way. Okay, that suits you. You want that, so you are interested in that, so you won't listen to it. Okay, so let us say there are, if you in screen you can see there are a lot many elements and ways that the resources through which we all can communicate and communication can happen. In simple word, it is there from A to B communication, wherein A, it will be the person who is addressing the audience, means who's giving message, and B is the person who is receiving message. So A is me and B is you all. I believe this is clear so far. So now let us say what it takes for a communication that we call it a complete communication. Now, communication is an equation of, as I already talked about, that there is a person who is a sender. Now, when we send message, we send in two different ways. One is verbal, one is non-verbal. We'll talk about this bit more in depth, bit ahead. And then when I'm talking this, when I'm sending this message, there is people like you all who are receiving it. So you listening to me or you watching me, right? Once you have completed this cycle from A to B, after that what happens? Once a message is given, message is received, after that you will try to understand the content कि वो बोलना क्या चाह रहा है. Then the intent, उसने बोला क्या और उसके पीछे बोलने का भाव क्या था. For example, if I say, suppose आज आपके घर में कोई आया है and you made a breakfast to him and he liked the breakfast and he say he likes aloo pyaj paratha also very well. So the person next was also listening to the talk. So next day morning, what he did, he made those aloo parathas ready for him. In the morning when he came for breakfast also, he was delighted and elated. Oh, how did you come to know that I like aloo paratha? The person will say, पिछले कल आप ही तो बोल रहे थे that you like it. So he was just expressing, वो सिर्फ बोल रहा था कि उसको वो भी अच्छा लगता है. And the person who receives it, he understood that he is expressing that अगर आलू पराठा भी होता तो उसको और मजा आ जाता. Right? So it is how when you give a message to someone, it's not only what you saying, it is also that how you saying, and then the person next to you is how he decode or how he takes and react after taking it. So what happens, let us understand we will not talk about science, but our mind it works on neurobiology, and it's made of a neuroplastic, right? We'll not talk about science much, but let us understand what happens in our mind. There is some coding happening. So when this coding happens, that coding, the result comes from our words, from our mouth. That is the result of those codings, because everybody cannot read the a shorthand, but there are people who decode them, and they understand this is the message. So when we're saying this message, the same way it goes to the receiver, means to you people that when I'm saying this, so you also trying to decode it once you finish listening to. So what you do then, you try to find out the content and the intent. And if once you understand it, once you agree with the person that what is he saying, what you understood is same, that is equal to communication. So let us just recap on this. So communication is an equation of sending message, verbal or non-verbal, and receiving is listening or watching, and then understanding content and intent, which is equal to communication. Until and unless the three cycle happens, you will not have that effective communication happen. Now, we've just determined that communication is a two-way flow of information that requires all participants to not only provide and receive information, but also demonstrate an understanding of the information. Now, let's say when we say demonstrate and understanding of information is what? Let us say if somebody is talking like, somebody had given you some work to do and you not been able to finish it on time, and you had to finish that work on time, and that time was like let's say 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks or so, but you could not meet that deadline, and the person comes and asks you that has that work happened or not, that you said no. Then there are ways when this gentleman will talk, he'll give you some message, abhi tak kyun nahi hua, abhi tak kyun nahi hua, abhi tak to ho jana chahiye tha, अभी तक क्यों नहीं हुआ लेकिन, you know the consequences of it, what's going to happen after that. Now you see what are the message you're getting from that person or leader or manager or person in front. Irrespective of any workplace or so, it even happens in our daily days work also. So but the only thing is that when we actually working in our life or so, let us keep our ears and eyes open actively, wherein we are actually getting that self-realization happen, that what is happening around us, why the voice modulation also is happening that bad. If you have a look on sending verbal, now when we say verbal sending message, when you just saying words, that's a verbal. Okay, so there are people, they only say that, jo usne bola wo patthar ki lakeer hai, that's what I understand. But trust me people, that's not all. When we go a bit more ahead, you understand that this is not all, right? There is another thing called non-verbal, means when you don't use your words but you still give a strong message, right? Let us say you're going to see somebody and he looks at you like, he's staring you like this, that you committed a crime, right? You're getting a message that he's not interested to talk to you, right? Let us say if you go and you greet somebody and he's just folding his hands like this and walking away from you, not even making eye contact, there is a message you're getting that he's not interested talking to you. So this is what communication is all about. The more, the deep you go in, you will find out there are thousands and thousands of ways wherein people communicate, and they give you messages, not only talking, but their gestures, right? The moment they use, if they're giving you instructions, if somebody is saying, please do that. So you look at their smile, their gestures, or how about somebody saying, go and do that right now. I want you to do it right now. You see the communication and the command is happening. And the moment people in front actually decode it and they take it, now that's where the most conflicts are actually occurs. That puts you in situations sometime wherein it is hard to explain also. मेरा ये बोलने का मतलब नहीं था, तो क्या मतलब था तेरे बोलने का? तो प्यार से भी बोल सकता था, right? So this is what. Now let us say non-verbal communication, what all it has to say. Non-verbal communication is equal to communication without words, as we already spoke about. When you don't only use your words, that is non-verbal communication. Now, let us say in whole communication cycle, now there is a study and it has been established, as you can see on screen. Dr. Albert Mahrabian actually had established a theory which still is being taught in most of the American universities when this chapter comes, that the elements of personal communications are in that the cycle, if you break that three V's, wherein we say vocal, visuals, right, and then non-verbal. So these are actually being distinguished in three different segments. And if these three segments you need to break into percentage, the verbal part, what we have, and that is only 7%. And the voice and the tone, which is again a part of non-verbal, there is 38%. Now, and then 55% of it is body language. That how somebody is, when somebody is giving a message, how his eye gestures are, how his face expression is, how the moment of his hands are, like how his body, how is he carrying himself the moment he was giving. Let us say if any army person is giving any command to anyone, so he says soldiers, he talks with that encouragement. If somebody is doing that reprimanding or so, they become furious. Some people are that angry that their eyes becomes that blood red, that it is about to drip off down now, right? So let us understand that non-verbal communication consists of vocal and visual elements such as tone of voice or body language. Consequently, non-verbal communication is important because how we say something, vocal and visual, is often more impactful than what we say verbal communication. So what it says that there is something very important to understand in non-verbal communication. When we talk about tone and voice, there is something called voice modulation. We will not go that deep that what exactly it means. It requires another lecture for, but let us understand. I'll give you an example of voice modulation. What is that? Let us say if you're talking to somebody, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? मैंने आपको ये काम बोला था, मैंने आपको ये काम बोला था, आप कैसे हो? आप कैसे हो? कैसे हो आप ठीक हैं? आप ठीक हैं? Now this is voice modulation is all about, right? How many of time it happens if you're calling somebody and the moment you're taking a call, somebody is asking you, you're saying hello, and the person next जिससे आप बात कर रहे हैं वो आपको बोलेगा क्या बात हो गई? बड़ी धीमे आवाज में बात कर रहे हैं, तबीयत तो ठीक है? Now how he gets to know that? Because he or she feels it. Now they can't see you over phone, but still they can feel that how you possibly will be in a situation or so. Now that's how important your voice tone and tonality is all about. Yeah. And then body language. Now what I want you all to do another exercise. Once you go back, try to see the people. If there will be somebody who's talking over phone, you see when they're talking over phone, they're doing their gestures. मैंने उसको बोला था अभी वो नहीं किया उसने, लेकिन उसको ये करना ही होगा. Their hand gestures gonna be like this. Now people cannot see you other side over phone, but still that the moments the movements you're doing in your body language, the gestures, it is actually strengthening your words. So the person next can feel that energy, that ignition in the words, that you've been energetic, you've been furious, you've been angry also. And the best example or best option for all of us can be that charity begins from home. Please be active the moment you're talking to someone over phone. Sometime you will try to hold yourself that no, I don't want to act like this because Yatin was talking something like this, that we do it. But trust me, people, we do that with our own self also. If you want to see that, go back. Once you be talking to someone, you will experience it. If you experience, please do let me know by message or so that okay, yes, it happens with you. Trust me. I mean, what I'm saying, these examples and all, it's not only like that. I'm saying I've experienced and I've seen people are doing it. That's why I put them into the words. All right, so we'll move ahead now. Let's say myth of communication. There are a lot of myths about communication. We communicate only when we want to communicate. Now, what it says, and let me translate that, कि हम तभी बात करते हैं जब हम बात करना चाहें, right? Is it right or wrong? Word means the same thing to do both speaker and the listener. जो word हम बोलते हैं, they have the exact meaning. What the person, the sender is saying and the receiver is receiving. Is it right or wrong? We communicate chiefly with word. हम सिर्फ mainly जो word बोलते हैं उन्हीं से बात करते हैं, उन्हीं से अपने जो है messages जो है deliver करते हैं. We believe what a person says, not how he or she says. What we're trying to say here, that we only believe what a person is saying chiefly in words or so. Now, let's take an example. Let us say any political leader is giving any message. Now, there will be people who be saying, wow, he is a great leader. He's taking care of all of us. There will be few who say, no, this is a decision. This is how decisions are taken. How people perceive the content the person is sending across, how the intent of it is being interpreted by people, that is more important. Until and unless, as a leader, as a speaker, as a manager or supervisor or so, if you're not checking with your audience what you're saying and what you want to say, did they get the same message or not, trust me, you'll be having a communication gap, barriers, right? Communication is a one-way flow of information from speaker to the listener. No, I believe it only can happen with the Tanasha people, wherein you have nothing to say, and it hardly matters that how people take the content or intent. And King Jong, I guess, is the best example nowadays. And if you need to go back to the histories, then Hitler has done. If he says something, okay, that is what will be about to happen. Now there is no other way, right? Okay, so now if you say these five situations are there, if you say any one of out of it is true, or any one out of them is false, and the result, if you see, trust me people, there is no statement in these five statements which is right. They all are wrong. All right, let us move ahead. Let us try to find out more what we have to explore. Now, if you see on the screen, the elements of communications are being given. So the elements of communication are there. There are three V's which I already talked about. One is vocal, visual, and verbal. Hence, we have talked about a bit earlier, but let us say in a bit more in detail what exactly it means. Now, vocal means what? The voice of a speaker. This includes vocal variety, quality, rate, volume, and vocalized pauses. Very important. All right, we'll not talk about this today because that requires another lecture. Now, what does visual means and stands for? What we see of the speaker. This includes eye contact, postures, gestures, and facial expressions. Like we're having wrinkles, we're having smile, right? And then verbal, the speaker, the words, this is what the person actually says, right? But it's not all. There is lot many things involved in it. How is he saying it? What he wants to express? Was that aggression? Was there a request? Was there a decency? Was there a lenientness? XYZ, so on. Once you go back, you can try doing this exercise with you, and trust me, it will be very, very wonderful. Until unless you do self-realization and you sit any talks, or you listen to any TED talks, motivation talks or so, until and unless when you go back and try to implement that in your life, for me, the simple meaning of it is what? A simple one. It's an intellectual entertainment you and me wants to have. That अच्छा बोलता है वो, चलो time pass ऐसे ही कर लेते हैं. Until unless this goes off from our mind frame, our learning, our listening, and our communication actually will not go in that verge to that extent where we want to take it. Now, we have some barriers in communication. Let's talk about one by one. I won't be explaining them, so hence they are written there. If you want to go by Google, do some search about them, you'll find out what exactly I was wanting to say. So, but I'll read them one by one. Anxiety, fatigue, and preconceived notion or prejudice about others. Now it could be written, हाँ मुझे पता है क्या बोलने जा रहा है, and this I know क्या बोलने वाले हो. Let him finish, okay? Resistance to change, you don't want to change the communication will. If you say something कि इस तरह नहीं, इसको इस तरह करना, नहीं नहीं मुझे मालूम है ये काम ऐसे ही होता है, मुझे मत सिखाओ तो. So now that's again a barrier of communication. Now let's say personal concern, noisy distractions. Now somebody is talking to you, somebody, if you're sitting in a lecture in college or so, I mean there was some noise, some work going out, and you could not connect with your teacher or professor when he or she was giving lecture. So the noise also can be a biggest problem in clear communication. Inspiration, interruptions, and location, physical obstacle, language, accent, grammar, slang, language, foreign language. Now I'll talk about bit upon this, that see, I myself have worked with the different nationalities and different countries, and the biggest challenge I have faced, that was their the diversity in culture, and then diversity in language interpretation, and then diversion, and then this diversity in different demographic diversions. That has a lot to do in communication. So until and unless a leader, a speaker, or manager, or supervisor, okay, he need to be on his exact intent, what he wants to say, but the content, it cannot be decided only by the person, by the sender. He or she need to see that the audience of him or her is what capacity they are in, how would they understand it. Until unless you go down to their level, your message will not get delivered to the extent you want to get it delivered, and you'll be ending up of having conflict. There will be people, they will be saying, this is what I understood. Then he will say, why didn't you ask? Then he would say that, why didn't you explain me at first place? So, it increases in conflict, ahead, and it stretches just like elastic. So the best way to cut it, it is there. There is something called, what I like is that CCQ. It is content, check, question. Generally in our classrooms also, our teacher and professor says, समझ आया कि नहीं? ठीक है कि नहीं? Until unless we apply this small application or small way of getting on same page in our life, be it personal or professional, we will not land where we want to go. Okay. Now let us say, when we have these barriers, when we have such obstacles, when we have these myths are actually available, and it is throughout, including me, we cannot exclude ourselves. Some of the other time we experience them, or if I say in another way, we every day face them. It is only that we realize and we notice them or not. We try to work upon to rid them off from our life or not. So let us, the one simple solution for this is active listening. Now when we say active listening, now listening is again as a deep subject which requires another lecture. We'll talk about that maybe some other time. So let us say in active listening, what exactly and all about it actually gathers. It says the verbal communication. So it says verbally, non-verbally, mentally, and physically. So what is being trying to say there, that we need to be that active, that what a person, a manager, leader, or supervisor is about to say, what is he saying with words, non-verbally, what it means, the expression in mentally, when we say the decoding of that message, and then physically, how exactly he is carrying that message, that how furious, how important, how urgent it is. Until unless we have these four elements also applied to that application of listening, we'll be again ended up, we'll be having a conflict in our communication. Now let us understand, when we say in communication, verbally, it will be like, I want to see tomorrow all of you in my office. That's it. Now a manager is saying कि मैं कल तुम सब लोगों को अपने ऑफिस में मिलना चाहता हूँ. क्यों? किस लिए? Because his expression was like, And most of the time it is a human tendency, we only take it as a negative कि भैया सबको एक साथ मिलना है तब तो कुछ तो गड़बड़ करा हुआ है हमने. So now if it is morning, the whole day for these people is spoiled. Now then we be saying, you know, he spoiled, उसने मेरा सारा दिन खराब कर दिया आज, right? You see communication, how it is affecting your day's work. We will not be able to perform our task well. Now that task also, if you say, if somebody comes and say, what happened, क्या हो गया आज, बड़ा ढीला काम कर रहे हो और दिल से काम नहीं कर रहे यार. You know what, the manager came in the morning, उसने सुबह ही मेरा दिमाग खराब कर दिया आज. You know what, I just don't like even seeing his face. Now another barrier, if we see, as we have completed barriers behind, is that you don't like that manager, supervisor, leader, or the person is giving message also is another factor, that you don't want to listen to him, and the moment he or she is giving message, it will not be actually decoded or received by people because they don't want to listen, they just don't want to see his or her face, right? So okay, there is more to include in that, but once you go back, I'm sure you'll be able to relate if maybe few points out of an it, my job is done. If you see on screen, there are some faces. If you see, without saying anything, the lady is giving you 9 different uh, communication or messages, that how is she feeling now, what is she wants to express now in this moment. So let's move forward. We will do a recap here, that what we have covered so far. What we have covered is what is communication. So we have covered in that the communication is something which is A to B delivery of message, which happens with the content and intent, and then it need to be verbally and non-verbally. And then myth about communications are that when we talk, we only talk with words, and we chiefly talk with words, etc. And then elements of communication, which we said, which we covered in 3 V's, was there visual, verbal, and oral. And then the equation of communication were there, that how exactly the sender sends message by 2 different words. It is verbal and non-verbal, and then again it is it goes to the sender receives it. When sender receives it, and it goes to the receivers actually decode it to find out what was the content, and then to interpret that in his word what was the intent out of it. That is equal to communication. Now the barriers in communication, we have seen a very big list, and it can be on and on and on and on and on. And then solution for better communication is, there are a lot actually we need to work on, but the best example and best powerful method and solution, it can be an active listener. Now when we say be an active listener, now listening again requires another lecture, in which we need to understand that the biggest thing we need to understand is that we need to be that active, that we train ourselves, that we are that capable to see what is the difference between practical rightness and technical rightness. There will be time, what I mean by practical rightness and technical rightness, that the sender and the receiver, means A and B, they both are right from their end, but the result, what both were expecting, was not exactly what they were expecting, and it is not at all delivered what it was desired of. So it is again a matter of that it requires another lecture when we say practical rightness and technical rightness. Now if I tell you an example of practical rightness or technical rightness, let us say somebody asked me that it is 9 o'clock, or by 1 o'clock I should meet you in some particular place, and I say yes, and it is totally calculated that by 1 o'clock that person can reach you. So what happens, the moment this gentleman was about to reach that decided place wherein they agreed that we'll meet at that XYZ place by 1 o'clock, in between this gentleman had somebody to help on the way. Now that 1 o'clock had actually had extended to 1:30 now. Now what happens? Now the first person had asked to meet me at this XYZ place by 1 o'clock. Now that is been extended to 1:30. Now he or she will say that he's not agreed, he's not obeying time, he's not punctual, he's not serious about this job, work, task, the responsibility you want to offer. So you'll be actually not interested now giving him or considering him for next, right? So you are right at your place because you had given him time, and you're saying that he doesn't have a value for time. Now let us talk about the B person. He had somebody to help on the way. So he was trying to help somebody to get into a bus, car, or so. He or she was having some bags, some baggage, sack to actually get loaded to a car, lorry, truck, whatever it was. It can be anything. So he was also right, and he was happy that my boss or my friend anyway, he'd be happy to hear that I tried to help somebody. But he didn't even give him a chance. The moment he said, you know what, you're not interested, when 30, it is 1:30 now, and 1 o'clock, if you don't respect time, I'm sorry, I cannot do business with you. So thank you so much. Now we'll not talk about any more about any opportunity, any business, any responsibility, and I will never trust you. So now you see, now, so we will close here now. So I believe that I've been able to impart some points and some relevant info and examples with you all. Should that make any sense to you all, please do feed me with your feedback. And I would like to request each one that I have an intent now, sooner or later, to open up my own learning academy, wherein for which I have opened one YouTube channel with my name, which you all can search. I will have a link also shared, and it says that the name, if you go through, it will be having my picture and say Yatinder Kumar Learning Academy. That's all what I request you all. If I've been able to make any difference, any use of this time you've spent with me, I would like to hear from you and request you all to please subscribe to my channel. Like, there will be a lot many informations are coming forward, and but it all will happen that if I gets that support from you all, that love, and keep suggesting me if you want me to address any particular topic. And as I already said that I'm a hospitality trainer. I'm a certified trainer, wherein I try to train and impart my experience with people. And very soon we'll be having a session in which I'll be talking about learning from your failures. Wherein I have some stories, some not less than 27, the counted one stories, my failures I have to share. So there is a lot that I want to share with you all. It all will happen only with your cooperation, assistance, and with your suggestion, and with your support, if you allow me to. So I take you leave, and thank you so much for your time spending with me. We'll be soon back with you all. Till then, stay safe, stay home, stay healthy. Thank you.